What if I told you that the weeds you've been spraying with herbicides and ripping out of your garden are actually more nutritious than the vegetables you're buying at the grocery store? I'm talking about common plants growing wild in your yard right now that contain more vitamins, more minerals, more protein, and more antioxidants than spinach, kale, or any superfood you can buy. Today, I'm revealing 10 forgotten weeds that are nutritional powerhouses, weeds that our ancestors ate regularly, that indigenous peoples relied on for thousands of years, and that modern nutritional science has confirmed are incredibly healthy. These aren't exotic plants from remote rainforests. These are plants growing in your backyard, sidewalk cracks, and garden beds completely for free, yet we've been taught to view them as worthless nuisances. Whether you're interested in foraging, saving money on groceries, improving your health, or just being more self-sufficient, this video could completely change how you view your lawn and garden. Stick around because number 3 contains more vitamin A than carrots, more calcium than milk, and more iron than spinach, and it's probably growing in your yard right now. But before we dive into these nutritional powerhouse weeds, if you're interested in foraging, nutrition, or self-sufficiency, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people who need this information. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss our weekly videos. Alright, let's get into the video. Here's something that sounds crazy but is absolutely true. Many of the plants we call weeds and spend billions of dollars trying to eliminate are actually more nutritious than the vegetables we spend billions of dollars buying at grocery stores. This isn't just folk wisdom. This has been confirmed by modern nutritional analysis. How did this happen? How did we end up in a world where we poison free, highly nutritious food growing naturally while paying premium prices for less nutritious cultivated crops? The answer is complex, but it comes down to several factors. First, industrial agriculture favors plants that ship well, store long, look uniform, and produce high yields, not necessarily plants that are most nutritious. Many cultivated vegetables have been bred for appearance, shelf life, and yield at the expense of nutritional density. Second, the lawn culture that emerged in the 1950s taught Americans that a perfect lawn should be a monoculture of grass with no other plants. Anything else became a weed to be eliminated. Chemical companies capitalized on this, creating an entire industry around herbicides. Third, we lost traditional knowledge. Our great-grandparents knew which wild greens to harvest, when to pick them, and how to prepare them. This knowledge sustained humans for thousands of years but was lost in just 2 or 3 generations as people moved to cities and relied on grocery stores. The result is absurd. We spray glyphosate on dandelions, which are more nutritious than lettuce, while buying expensive kale at Whole Foods. We pull up purslane, which has more omega-3 fatty acids than any other leafy vegetable, while taking fish oil supplements. We eliminate lamb's quarters, which contains more protein and calcium than spinach, to plant spinach in their place. The weeds I'm sharing today aren't just edible. They're nutritional superstars that put cultivated vegetables to shame. They're free, they grow with no effort, they require no pesticides or irrigation, and they're perfectly adapted to local conditions. Learning to identify and eat them can improve your health, save money, and connect you to food traditions going back thousands of years. Critical disclaimer: before we continue, I need to be very clear. Only eat plants you can positively identify 100%. Many edible plants have toxic lookalikes. If you have any doubt, don't eat it. Start with small amounts to test for allergic reactions. Only harvest from areas you know haven't been sprayed with pesticides or herbicides. Avoid areas near roads due to contamination. Wash all wild greens thoroughly before eating. Pregnant women should be especially cautious as some wild plants can affect pregnancy. With that said, let's jump into number 10 and work our way to the most nutritious forgotten weed. Number 10. Chickweed, Stellaria media. Starting at number 10, we have chickweed, a delicate, sprawling plant with tiny white flowers that grows in cool weather. This innocent-looking plant is a nutritional powerhouse that's been eaten as a spring green for thousands of years. Nutritional profile: chickweed is exceptionally high in vitamin C, vitamin A, and minerals including calcium, magnesium, iron, and zinc. It contains significant amounts of gamma-linolenic acid, GLA, and omega-6 fatty acid that's anti-inflammatory. Chickweed also has saponins that may help with nutrient absorption and weight management. Taste and texture: chickweed tastes mild and slightly sweet, like a cross between lettuce and corn silk. The texture is tender and delicate. It's one of the mildest tasting wild greens, making it perfect for people new to foraging. How to use: eat chickweed raw in salads. It's tender enough not to require cooking. Add to smoothies for a nutritional boost. Use as a sandwich topping instead of lettuce. Sauté briefly with garlic and olive oil as a side dish. Make chickweed pesto by blending with garlic, olive oil, and nuts. When to harvest: chickweed grows in cool weather, spring and fall in most areas, year-round in mild climates. Harvest the top 3 to 4 inches of the plant, including leaves, stems, and flowers. It regrows quickly after cutting. Identification: chickweed has small, oval, opposite leaves on weak, sprawling stems. Tiny, white, 5-petaled flowers. Each petal is so deeply split it looks like 10 petals. A distinctive line of hairs running up one side of the stem. This is the key identification feature. Low-growing, forming mats. Where to find it: gardens, lawns, flower beds, edges of pathways, anywhere with moist, rich soil and partial shade. Chickweed is extremely common in spring gardens. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: chickweed has higher vitamin C content than oranges, more calcium than milk, gram for gram, and significant mineral content that rivals or exceeds most cultivated greens. This delicate weed that gardeners pull out by the handful is actually premium salad greens growing for free. Number 9. Purslane, Portulaca oleracea. At number 9 is purslane, a succulent plant with thick, paddle-shaped leaves that's often found in vegetable gardens and sidewalk cracks. This plant is an absolute nutritional superstar that should be celebrated, not eliminated. Nutritional profile: here's what makes purslane extraordinary. It contains the highest amount of omega-3 fatty acids of any leafy vegetable. Purslane has more omega-3s than some fish oils. It's also extremely high in vitamins A, C, and E, rich in magnesium, calcium, potassium, and iron, loaded with antioxidants including betalains and glutathione, and contains significant amounts of melatonin. Taste and texture: purslane has a slightly sour, lemony, salty taste with a crisp, juicy texture due to its succulent leaves. It's refreshing and pleasant. Many people prefer it to lettuce once they try it. How to use: eat purslane raw in salads. The crisp texture is excellent. Use in place of lettuce on sandwiches. Pickle purslane stems like pickles. Sauté with onions and garlic as a side dish. Add to smoothies for omega-3s. Make purslane salsa, or relish. In Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cuisine, purslane is a traditional ingredient in salads and cooked dishes. When to harvest: purslane grows in warm weather, late spring through early fall. Harvest the top 4 to 6 inches of tender stems and leaves. The plant regrows readily after cutting. Identification: thick, succulent, paddle-shaped leaves that are smooth and fleshy. Reddish, sprawling stems growing flat along the ground. Small yellow flowers, 5 petals, that open in morning sun. The entire plant has a thick, juicy texture. Caution: purslane is high in oxalates, so people with kidney stones or kidney issues should limit consumption. Cook it to reduce oxalates if this is a concern. Where to find it: gardens, cracks in pavement, gravel areas, disturbed soil. Purslane thrives in hot, dry conditions where other plants struggle. It's often the only green thing growing in sidewalk cracks during summer. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: purslane has 7 times more beta-carotene than carrots, 6 times more vitamin E than spinach, and omega-3 content that exceeds any other leafy vegetable. It's genuinely a superfood. People spend money on omega-3 supplements while pulling up purslane, one of nature's best sources of omega-3s, from their gardens. Number 8. Dandelion greens, Taraxacum officinale. Coming in at number 8 are dandelion greens, the leaves of that cheerful yellow flower that's public enemy number 1 for lawn enthusiasts. But dandelion greens are more nutritious than almost any vegetable you can buy. Nutritional profile: dandelion greens are absolutely loaded with nutrients. They contain more vitamin A than carrots, more calcium than milk, gram for gram, more iron than spinach, extremely high in vitamins K, C, and E, rich in potassium, magnesium, and manganese, high in antioxidants and beneficial compounds that support liver health. Taste and texture: dandelion greens are bitter. There's no way around it. The bitterness varies with season and age. Younger leaves are milder. The texture is similar to other leafy greens. While the bitterness can be off-putting to modern palates accustomed to sweet foods, it's actually beneficial for digestion and liver function. How to use: harvest young dandelion leaves in early spring before flowers appear. These are least bitter. Eat raw in salads mixed with milder greens to balance bitterness. Sauté with garlic, olive oil, and a splash of vinegar or lemon juice. Cooking reduces bitterness. Blanch briefly in boiling water before sautéing to further reduce bitterness. Add to smoothies with fruit to mask bitterness while getting nutrition. Make dandelion pesto or chimichurri. Steam like spinach and serve with butter and lemon. When to harvest: early spring before flowers appear gives the mildest greens. You can harvest year-round, but summer leaves are extremely bitter. Fall leaves after first frost are milder again. Identification: everyone knows dandelions, deeply toothed leaves in a rosette pattern, yellow composite flowers, and white, fluffy seed heads. However, some similar plants can be toxic, so be absolutely certain of identification. True dandelions have smooth, hairless leaves and milky white sap when broken. Where to find them: lawns, fields, roadsides, gardens, parks, anywhere there's disturbed soil and sun. Most American lawns are covered in free, incredibly nutritious greens. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: dandelion greens have 2 times the calcium of broccoli, 3 times the vitamin A of carrots, 5 times the vitamin K of broccoli, and more iron, potassium, and vitamin C than most cultivated greens. The plant people spend millions trying to eliminate from lawns is actually more nutritious than the vegetables they're buying at the store. Number 7. Wood sorrel, Oxalis species. At number 7 is wood sorrel, those little clover-like plants with heart-shaped leaves that often appear in garden beds and lawns. The leaves have a delightfully sour, lemony taste that makes them both a food and a natural seasoning. Nutritional profile: wood sorrel is extremely high in vitamin C, higher than oranges. It contains significant antioxidants, vitamin A, and various minerals. The sour taste comes from oxalic acid, the same compound in rhubarb and spinach. Taste and texture: wood sorrel tastes like lemon or sour apple, refreshingly tart and citrusy. The leaves are tender and pleasant. Children often love the sour taste once they try it. The flowers are also edible and slightly sweet. How to use: eat a few leaves as a trail snack. The sour taste is refreshing and thirst-quenching. Add to salads for a lemony punch. Use as a garnish on dishes where you'd use lemon. Make wood sorrel lemonade by steeping leaves in water with honey or sugar. Add to fish or chicken dishes for citrus flavor. Sprinkle on soups and stews as a finishing touch. When to harvest: wood sorrel grows spring through fall in most areas, year-round in mild climates. Harvest leaves and flowers as needed. The plant regrows readily. Identification: small heart-shaped leaves in groups of 3. Looks like clover, but leaves are heart-shaped, not round. 5-petaled flowers in yellow, pink, or white, depending on species. Leaves fold down at night and open during day. Stems and leaves have a crisp, juicy texture. Caution: wood sorrel contains oxalic acid, so people with kidney issues or kidney stones should avoid it or eat in moderation. Don't eat large quantities regularly. A handful as a garnish or seasoning is fine, but it shouldn't be your primary green. Where to find it: garden beds, lawns, forest floors, edges of pathways, potted plants. Wood sorrel grows in sun or shade and is extremely common. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: wood sorrel has higher vitamin C than most citrus fruits and provides flavor without needing to buy lemons. It's essentially free lemon juice growing in your yard. Number 6. Plantain, Plantago major and P. lanceolata. Sliding into number 6 is plantain, that broad-leafed plant that grows in lawns and compacted soil everywhere. While plantain is better known for medicinal uses, covered in my medicinal plants video, it's also surprisingly nutritious as a food. Nutritional profile: plantain leaves are rich in vitamins A, C, and K, high in calcium, iron, and other minerals, contain beneficial mucilage, soluble fiber, and have significant antioxidant content. Taste and texture: young plantain leaves are tender with a slightly bitter, mushroom-like flavor. Older leaves become tough and stringy. These need cooking. The taste is earthy and pleasant when properly prepared. How to use: harvest very young leaves before flower stalks appear and eat raw in salads. Cook older leaves like spinach. Steam, saute, or add to soups. The toughness of older leaves is reduced by cooking. Blanch tough leaves before sautéing for best texture. Add to green smoothies. Use younger leaves. Use in mixed greens, stir fries. The young flower spikes can be eaten like baby corn when tender. When to harvest, early spring gives the most tender leaves. Harvest young leaves throughout the growing season. Avoid old, tough leaves unless cooking them thoroughly. Identification: broad, oval leaves with distinctive parallel veins running from base to tip. Leaves grow in a rosette at ground level. Long flower spike with tiny flowers. Narrow leaf plantain has long, lance-shaped leaves but similar characteristics. Where to find it? Lawns, parks, trails, compacted soil, sidewalk cracks. Plantain grows almost everywhere in North America and actually prefers compacted soil where other plants struggle. Comparison to cultivated vegetables. Plantain has more vitamin A than many lettuces, significant calcium content, and the advantage of growing in poor soil where cultivated vegetables wouldn't survive. This humble lawn weed that survives being stepped on is providing free nutrition in the places where nothing else will grow. Number 5. Wild amaranth, Amaranthus species. Coming in at number 5 is wild amaranth, also called pigweed, a tall plant that springs up in gardens and disturbed soil. This weed is actually a close relative of cultivated amaranth and is extraordinarily nutritious. Nutritional profile: wild amaranth is a protein powerhouse, higher protein content than most leafy vegetables. Exceptionally high in calcium, iron, magnesium, and phosphorus. Very high in vitamins A, C, and K. The seeds, if you let them mature, are also edible and extremely nutritious, comparable to quinoa. Taste and texture: young amaranth leaves taste mild and slightly sweet, similar to spinach but more flavorful. Older leaves can be slightly earthy. The texture is tender when young. How to use: harvest young leaves, top 4 to 6 inches, and eat raw in salads. Cook older leaves like spinach. Steam, sauté, or add to soups and stews. Add to stir fries with garlic and ginger. Use in any recipe calling for spinach or chard. If you let plants mature, harvest the seeds and cook them like grain, similar to quinoa. When to harvest: summer is when amaranth grows most vigorously. Harvest young, tender growth continuously. This keeps the plant producing and prevents it from going to seed, unless you want the seeds. Identification: amaranth has simple, oval to diamond-shaped leaves, often with a purple or red tinge. Stems can be green or reddish. The plant grows upright, 2 to 6 feet tall. Dense flower/seed clusters appear at the top and in leaf axils. The entire plant often has a reddish or purple color, especially in older specimens. Caution: like spinach and other greens, amaranth contains oxalates and should be eaten in moderation by people with kidney issues. Cooking reduces oxalate content. Where to find it? Gardens, agricultural fields, disturbed soil, roadsides. Amaranth is often the first plant to colonize disturbed ground. It's extremely common in summer gardens. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: wild amaranth has higher protein than cultivated spinach, 3 times the calcium of milk, gram for gram, more iron than most greens, and is nutritionally comparable to cultivated amaranth that people pay premium prices for. Gardeners spend hours pulling up this weed that's actually more nutritious than the vegetables they're planting. Number 4. Sheep sorrel, Rumex acatosella. At number 4 is sheep sorrel, a small plant with arrow-shaped leaves that often appears in lawns and pastures. This tangy little plant is packed with nutrition and has a delightful lemony flavor. Nutritional profile: sheep sorrel is extremely high in vitamin C, rich in vitamins A and E, contains significant oxalic acid, which gives it the sour taste, high in antioxidants, and contains various beneficial minerals. Taste and texture: sheep sorrel tastes intensely sour and lemony, more sour than wood sorrel. It's refreshing and tangy. The leaves are tender and pleasant. The sour taste is unmistakable and makes it easy to identify. How to use: eat a few fresh leaves as a snack. The sour taste is thirst-quenching. Add to salads for intense lemon flavor. Use as a seasoning on fish, chicken, or vegetables. Make sheep sorrel soup, a traditional French dish. Add to smoothies for vitamin C and tart flavor. Make sorrel sauce for fish or eggs. When to harvest: early spring through fall. The leaves are most tender in spring. Harvest the arrow-shaped leaves before the plant flowers for best flavor. Identification. Small, arrow-shaped leaves with distinctive backward-pointing lobes. Leaves grow from base in rosette pattern. Reddish flower stalks appear in summer with tiny reddish-green flowers. The plant is small, usually only 4 to 8 inches tall. The intensely sour taste confirms identification. Caution. Sheep sorrel is high in oxalic acid, higher than most greens. Eat in moderation as a flavoring rather than as your primary green. People with kidney issues should avoid it. Where to find it? Lawns, pastures, roadsides, gardens, acidic or poor soil. Sheep sorrel often indicates acidic soil and thrives where other plants struggle. Comparison to cultivated vegetables. Sheep sorrel has higher vitamin C content than most fruits, provides intense flavor without needing to buy lemons, and grows in poor soil where cultivated crops fail. This tiny lawn weed provides premium gourmet flavor. French sorrel soup is a delicacy, completely for free. Number 3. Lamb's Quarters, Chenopodium album. Here we are at number 3. Lamb's Quarters, also called wild spinach or goosefoot. This common garden weed is one of the most nutritious plants on earth and should be celebrated as a superfood. Nutritional profile. This is where lamb's quarters becomes extraordinary. It contains more protein than spinach, more calcium than milk, gram for gram, more iron than spinach, extremely high in vitamins A, C, and K, rich in manganese, magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus, high in essential amino acids, making it a complete protein, loaded with antioxidants and beneficial compounds. Taste and texture. Lamb's quarters tastes like a mild, slightly nutty spinach. Many people actually prefer it to cultivated spinach. The texture is tender and pleasant, similar to spinach. Young leaves are best. How to use? Eat young leaves raw in salads. They're tender and delicious. Cook like spinach. Steam, sauté, or add to soups, stews, and casseroles. Use in any recipe calling for spinach or chard. Add to omelets, quiches, and frittatas. Make lamb's quarters pesto. Sauté with garlic and olive oil as a simple side dish. The seeds are also edible if you let them mature, and related to quinoa, they can be cooked like grain. When to harvest, late spring through summer is when lamb's quarters grows most vigorously. Harvest the top 4 to 6 inches of tender growth continuously. The plant regrows readily after cutting. Identification: diamond-shaped or goosefoot-shaped leaves with wavy edges. The underside of young leaves has a white, powdery coating. Looks like it's been dusted with flour. This is normal. The plant grows upright, 1 to 5 feet tall. Small green flowers appear in dense clusters at the top. The stem is often striped with purple or red. Where to find it? Gardens, agricultural fields, disturbed soil, compost piles. Lamb's quarters is often the first plant to appear in tilled garden soil. It's extremely common in summer gardens and fields. Comparison to cultivated vegetables. Lamb's quarters has 3 times the calcium of spinach, more protein than spinach, 4 times the iron of spinach, and higher vitamin content than most cultivated greens. It's nutritionally superior to the spinach that people are paying for. Historical note: lamb's quarters was a staple food for indigenous peoples throughout North America and was intentionally cultivated by many groups. Its seeds have been found in archaeological sites dating back thousands of years. This wasn't just a wild food, it was an important crop. Gardeners pull out lamb's quarters by the bushel to plant spinach, not realizing they're removing a more nutritious free food to plant an inferior paid substitute. Number 2. Stinging nettle, Urtica dioica. We've reached number 2. Stinging nettle, the plant that defends itself with painful stinging hairs, but is one of the most nutritious plants in existence once you learn to safely harvest and prepare it. Nutritional profile. Nettle is a nutritional powerhouse that rivals or exceeds any cultivated green. It contains more protein than most plants, up to 25% protein by dry weight. Extremely high in iron, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Very high in vitamins A, C, K, and several B vitamins. Rich in chlorophyll, contains all essential amino acids, loaded with beneficial compounds including flavonoids and carotenoids. Taste and texture. Once cooked, which destroys the sting, nettle tastes like a rich, earthy, slightly minerally spinach. The flavor is more complex and interesting than cultivated greens. The texture is tender and pleasant after cooking. How to use: never eat nettle raw. It stings painfully. Always wear gloves when harvesting. Cook nettle to destroy the sting. Steaming, boiling, or sautéing all work. The sting is completely neutralized within 30 seconds of cooking. Classic preparations include nettle soup, traditional in many cultures, sautéed nettle with garlic and olive oil, nettle pesto, nettle tea, dried leaves, nettle spanakopita or quiche, and added to pasta dishes, risotto, or any dish using cooked greens. When to harvest: early spring when shoots are 6 to 12 inches tall gives the most tender greens. You can harvest until the plant flowers, but spring greens are best. Harvest the top 4 to 6 inches of tender growth. Identification: opposite, serrated leaves covered with stinging hairs. Square stems. The plant grows 3 to 7 feet tall. The stinging hairs are visible as fine, translucent needles on leaves and stems. If you brush against it, you'll know immediately. It stings painfully. Caution: the fresh plant stings painfully. Always wear gloves when harvesting. Cooking, drying, or blending destroys the sting completely. Once prepared, nettle is completely safe to eat. Don't eat raw. Where to find it: moist, rich soil along streams, in forests, and in disturbed areas. Nettle is common throughout northern North America wherever there's adequate moisture. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: nettle has more protein than soy, by dry weight, more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, and mineral content that exceeds virtually all cultivated greens. It's one of the most nutritious plants on earth. Historical importance: nettle has been eaten as a nutritious spring green for thousands of years across Europe, Asia, and North America. It was considered essential for preventing scurvy and treating anemia. Many cultures have traditional nettle dishes that are still eaten today. Once you learn to safely harvest and prepare nettle, it becomes one of the most valuable wild foods you can forage. Number 1. Miner's lettuce, Claytonia perfoliata. And finally, taking the number 1 spot as the most nutritious forgotten weed is miner's lettuce. This beautiful little plant with distinctive disc-shaped leaves was so important for nutrition during the California gold rush that it earned its common name from the miners who relied on it to prevent scurvy. Nutritional profile: miner's lettuce is extraordinarily high in vitamin C, higher than oranges. It contains exceptional amounts of vitamin A, significant iron, calcium, and other minerals, high water content making it hydrating, and various beneficial antioxidants and compounds. Taste and texture: miner's lettuce has a mild, slightly sweet, refreshing taste, similar to lettuce but more flavorful. The texture is tender, juicy, and pleasant. It's one of the most palatable wild greens, perfect for people new to foraging. The disc-shaped leaves are visually striking and beautiful. How to use: eat raw in salads. The mild taste and tender texture are excellent. Use as a base for salads instead of lettuce. Add to sandwiches and wraps. Garnish dishes with the attractive disc-shaped leaves. Lightly sauté, very briefly, with garlic. Add to smoothies. The entire above-ground plant is edible: leaves, stems, and small white or pink flowers. When to harvest: late winter through spring in most areas. Miner's lettuce is a cool season plant that grows when other greens are scarce. It often dies back in hot weather. Harvest the entire above-ground plant or just the leaves. Identification: the most distinctive feature is the round, disc-shaped leaves that appear to have the stem growing through the center, perfoliate leaves. Early leaves are simple and spoon-shaped, but as the plant matures, the characteristic disc leaves appear. Small white or pink 5-petaled flowers emerge from the center of the disc. The plant is low-growing, usually 4 to 12 inches tall. Where to find it: miner's lettuce is native to western North America from Alaska to Mexico. It grows in moist, shady areas, woodland edges, stream banks, north-facing slopes, and shaded gardens. It prefers cool, moist conditions and often forms dense carpets in suitable habitat. Historical importance: during the 1849 California gold rush, miners ate this plant in huge quantities to prevent scurvy. It was so important for their survival that it became known as miner's lettuce. Indigenous peoples throughout the West Coast ate it regularly as a spring green. Early settlers quickly adopted it. Comparison to cultivated vegetables: miner's lettuce has 3 times the vitamin C of oranges, more vitamin A than many cultivated greens, and the advantage of growing in late winter when other greens aren't available. It's genuinely a superfood. Why it's number one: Miner's lettuce combines exceptional nutrition with mild, pleasant taste, beautiful appearance, and historical importance. It's the perfect wild green, nutritious, delicious, and accessible to beginners. It grows when other greens are scarce, making it particularly valuable. And it literally saved lives during the gold rush by preventing scurvy. This forgotten weed that grows wild throughout Western North America is more nutritious than lettuce, tastier than spinach, and completely free. And there you have it, 10 forgotten weeds that are more nutritious than the vegetables you are buying at the store. From miner's lettuce with its exceptional vitamin C content, to lamb's quarters with more calcium than milk, to purslane with incredible omega-3s, to stinging nettle with more protein than most plants, these weeds are actually nutritional powerhouses. The absurdity of our current food system becomes clear when you realize we're spraying herbicides on free, highly nutritious food while paying premium prices for less nutritious cultivated vegetables. We're fighting against nature's abundance instead of working with it. These plants aren't just nutritious, they're free, sustainable, require no pesticides or irrigation, and are perfectly adapted to local conditions. Learning to identify and eat them can improve your health, save significant money on groceries, reduce your environmental impact, and connect you to food traditions going back thousands of years. I'm not suggesting you should stop buying vegetables and live entirely on wild greens, but incorporating these nutritious weeds into your diet, even occasionally, provides incredible health benefits while reducing grocery costs. A salad made with lamb's quarters, purslane, dandelion greens, and chickweed is more nutritious than anything you can buy, and it's free. Final reminders: always positively identify plants before eating them. Many have toxic lookalikes. Start with small amounts to test for tolerance. Only harvest from areas you know haven't been sprayed with chemicals. Wash all wild greens thoroughly. Learn proper identification from multiple reliable sources. When in doubt, don't eat it. These forgotten weeds represent a lost food system that sustained humans for millennia. It's knowledge worth reclaiming. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you found this information eye-opening and want to learn more about foraging and wild foods, please give this video a big thumbs up and share it with others interested in nutrition and self-sufficiency. And make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our videos. Drop a comment below. Have you eaten any of these wild greens? Which ones grow in your area? Are you going to try foraging for any of them? Share your experiences and questions with our community. Thanks again for being here. Remember, some of the most nutritious food on earth is growing in your backyard for free, just waiting for you to recognize it. I'll see you in the next video. Happy foraging!